The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
Monday, the 14th day of August, 2023. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House and Indos. I'm Jamal Hartman. She's Sencha Durham, and Maya Palacio will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Well, good morning, Sister Sencha. How was your weekend?
I had a really good weekend. A really, really good weekend. Felt like I went nonstop. There was a concert at City Hall I went to. I did Round the Island boat race.
What concert at City Hall?
It was a reggae concert, Valiant.
Oh, right. Somebody, I ain't never heard of him. What he said?
A lot of new songs. I don't know. I danced a lot.
Okay, all right. Mama getting her groove on. All right. Well, is it dancehall reggae or like lovers rock?
Yeah, not conscious.
Okay.
Nothing about it.
I guess I'm too old to know who this artist is. Like, is that the space?
He's new. He's new.
So it's like a Vibes Cartel kind of guy?
I guess.
Okay.
I feel like you're acting like my son Maddox asking too many questions right now. I went to
I'm sorry.
a reggae concert that I don't know a whole lot about, but I went.
And you had fun?
I had a blast.
All right.
I did. Had a blast.
All right.
It was good. It was a good time.
All right. And then you went on the road? You said you went you said you went to I said around the world, around the island, right?
Yes. That is another annual thing for me. When I was little, my dad used to race. So I grew up, in racing. So this is it's an event that I don't miss every year. So we were out on the water for Round the Island boat race. It wasn't as many boats, but it was a good time. So we caught them at a few different points. So we sit off a Spanish Point, so we see them as they go into Hamilton Harbor, and then we see them going into Dockyard, and then we go down to St. George's and see them at the finish line, kind of go into Ferry Reach, and then go out for a swim.
Okay, all right. Sounds like a plan. Anybody in the audience went to the Round the Island boat race? Like, did you watch it? Did you catch it from land, go on a boat? Let us know. My weekend, I just,
Are you better?
What's that?
Are you feeling better?
Yeah, I think so. Got a last bit of stuff that's got to come out, but the cough doesn't seem to be there as much. So I think I'm back. Sanch, I actually went for my first jog since June 28th this morning, and I was telling Maya, man, it was rough. I mean, the humidity is 100% out there. It's already 80 degrees. It's tough out in these streets right now. I don't know about this climate, man.
It is like the humidity even here. It's great. Last night, every so often, if I go outside of my house, it's like a nice breeze because I'm up high.
Mm-hmm.
Night, it was just like I couldn't catch a break anywhere. So don't talk about. I know we're gonna talk about the electricity.
Transition right into the combo, folks. I mean, we're going to talk about that. But greetings, everyone. Thanks for making us part of your daily routine. Good one today, as we're going to discuss possible solutions to Bermuda's power outages, because with this humidity, I'm not quite sure you all are too happy with your utilities company, electric company, whatever you want to call them, Alquin, whatever group, Belco, Liberty, I don't know. But I don't think you all are too impressed, especially with what you pay for your bills. So yeah, we're going to discuss that. The daily play is a who said it. Who said it today.
Okay.
Don't forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Let's jump right into it. Audience, let us know, did you lose power on the weekend? Did you lose power at any point on the weekend? Let us know, yes or no. Did you lose power at any point on the weekend? Sandra, you live in the Western Parishes, so did you lose power?
I was at a reggae concert. I got a message from a few people saying, "Hey, is your power out? Is your power out?" And then I realized that, we have a family group chat and they were like, "It's in the West." And I was like, listen, before I left that concert, I messaged, I was like, "Hey, is the power back on?" Because I definitely would have checked into a hotel. That's how hot it is. I cannot. And like I said, I live high, right? So at the end of the day, it's really hot. I If I did not have AC, and I'm a person, Jamal, I don't like AC. So in previous summers, I can go throughout the summer without AC easily. This is a tough one. Like the climate has changed. Yeah. So,
Well, folks, the family may have lost power, but she is straight. She is out of concert. So, I mean, she'd have left the family hanging man to a hotel. You heard her.
I would have.
Yeah. Hey, Sancho, I get it. I do. Did you lose power, audience? Let us know. Angeline Butler says no, she didn't. Ebony Souza says, I was at Frog and Onion when the lights went out. Was surprised on the drive down to see how far the outage extended. Yolanda Richards says, yes, her power did go out. I know one of my boys, he said he was out on the water and he just looked from the water, just saw it went totally black from like up, like right. I want to say, was it from Paget or Warwick up, something like that? That must have looked crazy. Lauren Darrow says, yes. So here's the question of the morning, because as Sandra just mentioned, I know we think of things like obviously our ability to breathe and live comfortably, right? It's hot, and many of us are using air conditioners, fans, things that require electricity. It's easy to say, oh, go get a what's those things called, generator. Not everyone can afford a generator, especially with the prices that we pay for our utilities, right? But I mean, in 2023, we kind of shouldn't be experiencing this as often. We probably should not be experiencing this that often. And so the question of the morning is, what's the solution to Bermuda's power outages? Let me be very clear. This is not my area of expertise. So I'm looking like I'm going to throw stuff out there that may make no sense. You are the audience. You may throw some things, but the purpose of these conversations is so that somebody comes up with something so crazy that we have people with the intellectual capacity to make sense of it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. When we talked about this yesterday to say this is what we were going to talk about, it was like, oh goodness, I have no clue. But the thing that concerns me is that we're on a new system. Like Belco invested all of this money, this new technology, is it? Or so should we be experiencing this?
Well, it's interesting because Elephant Nine, not 999, says, why did it go out? And what we have from Belco is Bermuda Electric Light Company Limited, Belco, advised that there was a fault on their transmission network, right, on August 12th night, resulting in the temporary loss of power to customers in the west end of the island between Warwick and Somerset. So at approximately 10:49 p.m. on Saturday, they experienced a fault on its underground transmission network, resulting in a loss of supply to the western end of the island, affecting approximately 11,400 customers. The response personnel were quickly mobilized, apparently. So that's what we have, Elephant, not 999. What does that mean to a layman like me? I have no idea.
But I mean, Jamal, we never experienced these blackouts before this. Like I don't remember on a regular basis. This is probably number what in the past year, 3, 4.
Well, I remember the joke seemed familiar.
Yeah.
I want to say it was about 3 years ago. There was an island-wide one because I remember looking at those social media posts and St. George's people joking the same jokes you see today. Oh, you have the cup, but we, like it must. No. What was it? Oh, it must be a St. George's person at Belco who's turned the lights out and stuff like that. So this has happened, it seems like, more often than not. And I guess the question is, again, folks, what's the solution to Bermuda's power outages? Is it the government? They're giving light bulbs. Do they need to underwrite generators for everybody? Do they need to open up the gates so that we can allow other utilities companies space to offer electricity options? Like what can be done? This is on you all, right? This is on all of us. Like, what would you like to see this avoided? Like, it's hot out here.
Mm-hmm.
It's hot.
I mean, at this point, like you just said, they have the monopoly.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have another option. And when
you know what? Hold that thought. Mr. Keynes, Rand Keynes, hi guys, I'd like to join the chat. Please, Mr. Keynes, please send in us your email. Just send us an email at engage@thedailyhour.com. Please send an email at engage@thedailyhour.com. We'll send you the link so that you can join the conversation. Let's do it. Because again, we're not here to criticize. I'm gonna be honest with you. Sancha and I were very honest from the beginning of this conversation. We're not experts in this, but we are impacted by it. And for those of you who may say, but Jamal, you don't live in Bermuda, you're not impacted. Well, my elderly grandmother who suffers from dementia, well, that bill is in my name. So if she's impacted, I'm impacted. And so I would love to know what we can do to avoid this. Is it something that we had Denton Williams on, the CEO of BAC Group, giving advice on, how to reduce, right? How do we reduce our usage? Again, Mr. Keynes, it is engage@thedailyhour.com. Send us an email and we'll send you the link. I'll put it up on the screen, engage @thedailyhour.com. Oh, I spelled that wrong. I'm sorry, sir. Engage@thedailyhour.com. Maya, don't worry. We'll get to the news break on time. Sancha, if you can send it to him, that'd be helpful. So we're going to let Sancha go to get the link to Mr. Keynes. But look, again, let's go through some comments real quickly. We've got Ebony Souza saying, I don't know much about this either, but would more quantity or efficiency substations or solar plants help? Maybe our population growth and usage are putting too much strain on our system. Well, again, are we overutilizing, going up beyond our capacity? Are we going beyond our capacity? This is important. As I say on this show all the time, we have a role to play. We certainly have a role to play. And my hope is that we can get some answers on how we can reduce our usage if that's part of the problem. I remember Charles Brown, I think was the late Walton Brown's brother. He was talking about sustainability many years ago. And it was at that time you learned how much trash we consume as an island. We had a role to play in that. Mark Arthur C. Phillips says, half the fact of the matter is we pay a lot more of money for power to experience outages. Manuela John says, I am wondering why is there still so much strain on Belco with so much emphasis on solar energy? Seems like that should have been brought some relief, or is solar not as much as we may think? Sean Smith says, question, what is the status of the solar grid the government was building at the finger located at the airport? Charles H. Jefferson II says, not knowing how all this works, but did this have solar power lose power too? All right, so a lot of comments here. Mark Arthur C. Phillips says, whatever the issues, Belco needs to sort it out. I understand there are growing pains, but issues need to be resolved. Well, this is live. This is how live streaming works. We may have Mr. Keynes coming on. He definitely has the link to answer some of these questions if he's available. But Sancha, I just want to let's bring Sancha back in. No, that's not what we want to do. There we go. Let's bring Mr. Well, let's see if Mr. Keynes is available to come in. Let's bring. He is the president and CEO, I believe, of is it Alcon and Liberty or Belco? All of those companies that oversee your bill. So let's bring the folks at Belco in, and they can offer and answer some of the questions. What's the solution to Bermuda's power outage? Good morning, greetings.
Can you see me?
We can see you. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
We're good. And first off, I must say this live publicly. Thank you for actually offering to come on with you and your team to offer some sort of explanation, because as Sancha and myself, we both said, we're not experts at this. We're just customers. So any advice or any information that you can offer that will assist in driving the conversation, not from a standpoint of anger or gossip, but what are the actual facts, and how can we, the consumer, help to reduce this going forward?
Absolutely. Thank you to both you and Sancha for the opportunity just to share our perspective. We have the opportunity. We have two parts of our business. One is bulk generation. They actually make the power. And then you have transmission, distribution, and retail. That talks about how do we get it from the substation to everybody's home. Over the last 2 years, Jamal, we've been doing something. We've been putting in our underground transmission, and that's simply taking the power from the substation, from the plant directly to your house. We have, as you can see, if you lived in the west end of the island, up by 5-Star Island, the ground, all of the wires are out of the cables are out of the ground, and we're putting in new transmission. The transmission is 50 years old, Jamal. Yeah. One of the reasons why we spent just over $145 million is because we wanted to take our transmission and we wanted to keep it underground and in the best nick possible. The transmission is 50 years old underground. And so 2.5 years ago in the West End, we saw an outage in the West End. That was 100% due to the underground transmission wire and the age thereof those wires. Well, on the weekend, a part of the underground transmission that has not been replaced yet, there was a fault there. The team now remember, when the wires are underground, the team have to dig up the road to go and look exactly what the problem is. And so let's just go through this again. We have realized that our transmission that takes the power from our plant to your home, those wires are called those cables are called that's our transmission network. That is underground. We have, over the last 2 years, been replacing that because it is aged, it is worn. We only have small clips of that are now due to be replaced because 80% of it is underground now, because you've seen we've had it all over the island. A part of the transmission that malfunctioned at the weekend was in that 20% that has not been replaced yet. Yes, and so we all knew this was going to be a challenge, because if it rains, if it's wear and tear over 50 years, that becomes a problem. A part of the transmission that faulted at the weekend was in that 20% that has not been replaced yet.
So, and a question, because a lot of people don't know. I was just talking to my father about this last week. The excessive rain that we've had over the last 3 months, we don't know publicly how many, but homes, backyards have caved in, people's roofs have cracked. Yes. How has that impacted the infrastructure, if you can go in more detail, as far as our utilities, or has it?
So with me, Jamal, I have Shelly Lehman. Shelly is the managing director for our transmission, distribution, retail. She's off camera and she's going to respond to that.
Thank you.
Good morning, Jamal. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Just to answer some of those questions there, Jamal, and just to maybe expand upon what Wayne has been articulating, we did have a fault on the transmission network. The transmission network basically takes the power from our generating plant out to our substations. The transmission network is 100% underground. From our substations, the power then, we have to transmit it via our distribution network to everybody's homes. The distribution network is about a 60-40 split in terms of underground and overhead network. And your question is actually a good question, and it's a question that is very timely in terms of how does all this rain impact us right now in terms of our network and our ability to provide secure, safe, reliable power to the island, and particularly around this time, it's hurricane season, right? So what we're seeing right now around the island is systemic vegetation growth. So there's a lot of vegetation along the road lines. That means that we can have impacts at any time, whether trees growing up into our infrastructure, whether it's growing up into the lines, or transient branches that may get blown off or break off because they're heavy from all the saturation of the rain falling onto our network. Our network is designed to be safe for the public, such that if branches fall on top of our lines, rather than having arcing and having systematic issues with fires, we have protection systems that will shut the power off so that we can go and make sure that it doesn't damage our network. So right now we are battling a bit of a challenge because we do have a lot of vegetation out there. We see it. We have been in contact with some of the other utilities as well to see how we can best collaborate and work together to try and reduce the vegetation. It's also incumbent on all of us as residents of the island, to take a look at how is our vegetation on our properties? Is it growing up into our lines? We are approaching the peak season for hurricanes. So we are asking everybody to make sure that your grounds are clean and clear and that you're trimming your vegetation as best as you can. If you require assistance in terms of shutting off the power so that you can safely cut the trees out of the lines in your neighborhood, then we have the ability for you to call in advance. We need 2 to 3 weeks notification for you to set up that time for us to shut off the power, such that we can allow you to clear the vegetation in your homes and in your area there.
And I think, Jamal, thank you for that, Shelley. Sometimes people say, "Oh, everybody had their air conditioning on, and we couldn't handle it." That's just not the case. We have the capacity. When we talk about megawatts, Shelley, what is the most we've ever had? I think 130.
So in terms of our peak load, Wayne, I think we'd have to go back about 20 years to see the type of load that we had, and that was about 120 megawatts.
Yes.
What we're seeing on the network right now, I think last week we saw about 103 megawatts as a peak, and we have sufficient capacity to meet that demand. So there's no question of us being able to meet that commitment.
And we also have a battery energy storage system, and it's a unique way for us to store power in a non-traditional way. And so the question that I think everyone has is, do we have a secure, uninterrupted supply of power? We do. And I think at the weekend, there was an anomaly with a part of our transmission network. As everyone in Bermuda has been inconvenienced for a bit, we're putting that underground, and we believe that was going to put us in good nick. But the question is, how does that affect our grid? Well, there is an understanding of how this works, because a number of people in Bermuda, we have how many megawatts of solar power do we have?
So we've got 6 megawatts down at the solar finger. So that is an independent power producer. So that would be someone that's a bulk generator who's supplying electricity to us, to the grid, in addition to the capacity that we have here at the power plant at Serpentine Road, and in addition to Tynes Bay, which offers about 7 megawatts. We also have about 10.3 megawatts of distributed renewable energy sources on the network, so DERs. And that's folks with solar on their rooftops, et cetera.
And so just to understand, Jamal and Sancha, at night, people that own solar all the day, they might be washing clothes, they might be doing things. And guess what? At the end of the day, and they run out of solar power, they come back on the network. And so our team is constantly looking at how they manage the grid and move things around, and they do it really well. And so when people are saying, "Oh, it's because everybody came back on the grid that late at night," it's actually just not the case. The team are very talented. They understand the grid. They understand how to get people and move people around. They've been doing it for a number of years. Jamal, I sit on CARILAC. CARILAC is the Caribbean energy organization for all of the Caribbean energy companies. And when you look at our numbers and our grid and our outages, we are one of the best performers in the Caribbean. And so when people say, oh, Balco is all out, we had two events over the last 3 years, and those were anomalies. And we can talk about that, or we can talk about that at another time. But when you look at the regular generation of power, we do exceedingly well. The majority of the times when we have a problem on our network, it's not the network, it's somebody's kite has gone in the wires. Somebody's branch is coming down and they pulled. So in Bermuda, we have a lot of things around outages that are oftentimes Balco managing specific things that happen in our community around kites. And
the prime example would be last weekend when we had the van. I'm sure lots of folks saw the picture of the van on South Shore Road
Absolutely.
outside of T Street there. So sometimes we have vehicles hitting our poles, which will knock off power. And that one outage where the vehicle ran into the pole took, I think, in the order of about 8 to 10 hours to repair, because we had to replace the pole. We had to put all of the infrastructure back onto the pole. We had to collaborate with the telecoms to get them to come and provide support there as well. So
I mean, do you remember the one outside of BHS earlier this year where we knocked down BHS? Everybody in the central pit, BHS was all, and so people are just like, oh my God, what's happening with Balco? North Shore outside of Seamart, when the truck went into the wires, all of North Shore and Pembroke was down for 3 or 4 hours. And so when there are outages, oftentimes the immediate thing is, oh, Balco has dropped power again. That's not always the case. But I can tell you one thing, our team get the call, and these men and women, they go to their battle stations at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, and they do everything to restore the power. Jamal, with your permission, I would like to thank Shelley and her team, everybody, all the linesmen that left their families, they left dinners, they left birthday parties on Saturday night to make sure that there was a restoration to power in Bermuda. Thank you, guys, ladies.
Thank you. And I definitely, this was unexpected, but would love to arrange for a convo, just to have a longer convo to give insight, because for years people have said that we'd like to have, underground, and you spoke to the underground, but just an understanding of solar, the whole idea of how the system works. This is a lot to digest for me to really, I have a lot of questions. We have to kind of move on, but let's arrange for a time where we can actually go in more depth. Thank you for the clarity of this situation. And appreciate such short notice jumping in and actually giving our audience something to think about.
Thank you. All the best to you.
All right, thanks so much. Talk soon. All right, that was Wayne Keynes, the CEO of Liberty, folks. Let's bring Maya and Centra in. Guys, I'm going to take a quick commercial break and come back, and we'll do the news break. All right? How's that sound? All right, we'll do that right now. Audience, don't go back. We'll discuss that. Thanks again to Shelley Lehman and the CEO, Wayne Keynes, for jumping on the line. But stick with us. We'll take a break and then come back with the news break.
Let's face it, life can be a little wild, but shopping doesn't have to be. I choose People's, so that whether it's a prescription that needs to be filled, a toy for my little terror, or a gift for a new addition to the family, we'll see about that. Everything's available in one convenient location. Some call it People's, I call it my one-stop shop in the city. People's, we're here for you.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level.
'70th birthday next month. Have you noticed her age is catching up with her?
Yeah. Plus, she's having a hard time getting up and around like she's used to. I would sure hate to see her fall.
At Medical House Limited, we can help make life situations easier. We have electric beds, motorized scooters, bath stools, walkers, you name it.
Mom's been real good to us. We'll get her birthday and Christmas gifts from Medical House.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dendy Town Field. Number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke. Telephone 292-3622.
Good morning. Good morning.
Oh, unexpected guest today. Good morning to you, Maya. Honestly, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that they jumped in and were able to add insight to the conversation. I have a lot more questions because for years, people have been calling for underground. Obviously, underground's not perfect. I'm not an expert, but I would think that it will be challenges underground as well, especially with the conditions. But interesting.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be, yeah, I would say challenging for underground because obviously we know about all the potholes. Our road conditions are not great at this present time, Bermuda, but also the vegetation, as they also mentioned when they came on. Like, we have a lot of vegetation to think about having to rip that up, to put it under, and then have to continuously do it to check on things after years go by. Yeah, it'll be a lot. But I am happy that they're able to jump on so quickly to give us some more information about like the outages that's going on in Bermuda and really give us some deep insight. I wish you would have mentioned just the percentage of how much it was actually Balco's fault in some cases, because I think it's really low from what they're saying about like the causes of why we might have outages. I think you said there were 2 major ones this year that may have been on their end, but yeah, the probability seems very low that it's actually Balco's
Well,
fault.
I one of my things was I honestly, again, I did think, oh, maybe it's too many people on the grid. That did come, like, we probably never had this many people using ACs at one time, right? ACs weren't always a thing. Believe it or not, Maya. I just had to. But no, they weren't always a thing, right? So there's definitely more electricity being used today. So it's interesting he cleared that up for me.
Yeah.
I think that at the end of the day, no system is going to be perfect, right? At all. And although I think that there is a level of things going on with the public with kites and vegetation and all of that sort of stuff, I'm sure, and I would love to continue this conversation, I'm sure there are things that are in, on Balco's end that probably need to improve. I mean, it's a new system. Nothing's going to run 100%. And it could be teething pains. It could be, but I think that we need to look at all of the variables.
Indeed. And once again, thanks again to Wayne Keynes and I believe Shelley Lehman, Lehman, for jumping on so quickly to, share their perspective. But I just want to share from Misha Fabla. He is, I believe he actually worked at Balco at some point. He said underground is approximately 5 times as expensive and takes a similarly long time to fix faults. Also, at this point, it will be difficult to land rights to install new lines. He says electricity usage is actually trending down. Appliances are more, thank you for this, are more efficient, and many are installing their own generation systems. There have been challenges with the new generator. So thank you for saying that, because Denton Williams kind of said that when he came on from the BAC group as well. Efficient, appliances are helping to keep costs low and using less of the system. This is a great conversation, honestly. This is why I love doing live stuff, right? Because you just never know. So again, appreciate them jumping on just out of the blue and adding clarity, because Sancha and I were very honest from the beginning. Very honest. This is not something that we know beyond what all of us can read. And I have no time to read a damn research paper on engineering, electricity. I'm just not there, folks. Maya, over to you. I'm sorry.
Well, while we're on the topic, I don't know who's in control of this, but we'd love to see more lights on the road down in St. David's. I have to go down that way for my mom's at night. It is crazy dark down there, and we should probably get more lights in St. David's.
At that point, Balco would say, talk to your MP, but I'll learn.
Well, good morning, everyone. This is the Daily Hour News Break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Starting out early this morning with some news that came from the Bermuda Police Service. A female motorcyclist sustained minor injuries in a collision with a motor car on North Shore Road, Hamilton Parish, just east of the junction with Fraction Street. The female bike rider was traveling west on North Shore Road when the motorcycle she was riding collided with a motor car headed in the opposite direction. The male motor car driver was not injured, thankfully, in the collision, which did occur around 9:22 p.m. on Sunday, August 13th, so last night. The injured female was arrested on suspicion of driving whilst impaired and transported to the Hamilton police station.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that, she's safe, but that's not good. I'm sorry.
No, it's not good.
I feel like we talk about this all the time, but there is still a responsibility to do better. being on the roads. I'm not normally out at night. I'm getting to Maya, but I've been out for the past few nights, and there have been cars in front of me where I'm literally like, they must be drunk. They're swerving over lines. Bikes are coming around corners, drifting to the other side because they're going so fast. It's been stressful for me. I'm like, maybe I need to not be driving at night. It's stressful. We need to do better.
I agree. 1000% agree. Well, coming up more in the news, there's a number of businesses within the city of Hamilton, namely the AF Smith Limited, Walker Arcade Properties, CPR Electronics, Masters Limited, Waterfront Men's, Kristen's Jewelry, and the Restore Shop have been targeted by persons who are definitely breaking and entering or trying to grab items that they can as theft. So a lot of that's been going on. Typically it happens between 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. and of their stealing electronics or other items of value. The Bermuda Police has reported that many of the items, in particular electronics, are advertised for sale at significantly reduced prices on social media platforms. So look out for that if you do see it. The suspects in these matters are seen on CCTV dressed in dark clothing, with their identity being concealed and leaving the scenes riding a dark colored cycle. If you know anything or have any information on a CCTV camera near you, if you're around those areas, you could please contact them on 247-1744. But as you can see, there's just been a lot of break-ins, a lot of trying to enter a lot of establishments in the city of Hamilton.
Have we entered this space? And I say this in the utmost seriousness. If you've ever been to, let's use South Africa as an example, right? Mm-hmm. Homes have like bars and like, they're compounds basically. Are we entering a space in Bermuda where that's what it's going to be? We're going to need like extreme home security measures and businesses extreme measures. Like this is. I mean, just now when you were naming off stores, you'd normally do that for sales, right? Like Black Friday sales. You just named off stores like this one and this one and this one. It's not normal. And I'm wondering, audience, Santa Maya, like, are we heading into a space where the have-nots are gonna start just taking from the haves simply because they feel like they have no hope any other way?
I feel ever since the pandemic, I have reported a lot of more burglaries in Bermuda. That's just something I could say for fact. Where we are at right now, it's sad, and it has to do a lot about obviously the economy of Bermuda and how people are living and how they don't want to live anymore. People are trying to find a way to sustain themselves on such an island. Not saying that it's right, because we all know that it's not. But what are the options for these people, and how do we reach them?
Interesting.
I don't know. I mean, you saying that, it just put a damper on me. Like, it broke my heart. I hope we're not heading in that direction. But I mean, we're in a space whereas I don't know.
It's a vicious cycle.
Yeah, I hope not.
Yeah, it's a vicious cycle because once if you thieve, you get caught for thieving, you do time or whatever the sentence is for you. And then once you're done, can you change your life around? What are the options for you next? Can you work somewhere if you have that on your record? The next thing you could do is just thieve again. And it's just a vicious cycle, an ongoing cycle, because once you're caught, there's almost no other option. What is the next option for you? And how do you rehabilitate that? Who gives you the next chance? Who helps you out? Or do you even want to change? It's a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
Moving on to some other news, quite sad news, and you will know this person, remember this person, Mrs. Michelle Simmons, who sadly passed away. There's been a lot of remembrance from her coming from the accident scene, Miss Rena Laudry. She says, quote, "Like many of you, I was saddened to learn about the passing of Michelle Simmons. I offer my sincere condolences to Dr. Simmons and her family. Mrs. Simmons was a valued member of the community, having served on various boards and committees over a number of years. She retired in 2022 as Vice President of the Senate, having first been appointed as an independent senator in 2017. As well, Acting Premier Honorable Walter Urbane also remembered the former independent senator, Mrs. Michelle Simmons, who has sadly passed away. He said, quote, Mrs. Simmons was an outstanding educator who served with distinction as the first woman principal of the Berkeley Institute. Countless students and parents have benefited from her sound advice and commitment to excellence in education. Mrs. Simmons retired from the Senate last year after 5 years of service, culminating in her appointment as vice president.
Very sad. And I know how Berkeleyite are about, their school and their people. So condolences to everyone that she impacted at the Berkeley Institute and also through the Senate.
So I'm going to step in. I went to BHS at 12 years old, and she was my first principal for our division. And being a Black girl at BHS and having her support, like when I look back on the memories of my favorite teachers, my favorite educators, and just the support, it was really rough for me during that transition from public school into BHS. And when she was the most supportive person ever. So, I mean, condolences. My heart goes out to her family. And I can say that she made such an impact in my life at BHS.
Indeed. And my mother said a word or two as she was a former teacher at the Berkeley Institute. She impacted a lot of women's lives, especially Black women's lives. And having that type of figurehead at the top to be that person that you can look up to, like, that person that you can admire and realize that, you can make those next steps and be who she is because she's filling up a space that needs to be filled. So deepest condolences to her family. She was super impactful to many people on the island, specifically, I would say, Black women. So really appreciate her service to the island. Coming up next in the story, Dr. Kawika Weldon, Carrier Genetics has launched their first human study with their Get in the Ring Caribbean Breast Cancer Whole Genome Pilot Study. This is the first of its kind in the world, and definitely the first of its kind in Bermuda. So here is a video of the launch of the study and also some explanation as to how you can get involved and how you can register if you care to register.
When I first conceptualized Carrier Genetics, my vision was to bring high-quality research to Bermuda, to delve into the unique genetic makeup of our people, and to use this knowledge to improve health outcomes. Today, we are making a significant step towards realizing this vision. I am ecstatic to publicly launch our Caribbean Breast Cancer Whole Genome Pilot Study, along with our Get in the Ring campaign. This study is a testament to Carrier Genetics' commitment to understanding the genetic differences in people of Caribbean ancestry. Breast cancer affects women worldwide, but Black women, particularly those of Caribbean ancestry, face a higher risk. This disparity is a pressing issue that needs immediate attention, and Carrier Genetics is determined to address it. This project, which is supported through funding from the Chronic Disease Innovation Program, managed by the Bermuda Health Council, and executed with our wonderful key community partners, who will speak a bit later, allows us to lay the foundation for high-quality genetic research locally here in Bermuda. This is a moment of pride for our island home, as this will be done by Bermudians, in Bermuda, for Bermuda.
This groundbreaking endeavor is set to revolutionize our understanding of genetic differences among women of Caribbean descent. The study is the first of its kind in the world, and its focus is advancing our knowledge of breast cancer in a specific population that has often been unrepresented. We're looking to enroll 50 women aged 18 and older who have either had breast cancer or are currently facing that battle, and another 50 women alongside those original 50 without a history of cancer. To ensure the specificity of our study, ideally all participants should have full grandparents with Caribbean heritage. We understand the importance of healthcare accessibility, which is why we require participants to possess full healthcare coverage, guaranteeing comprehensive follow-up support if needed after the study has concluded. After expressing interest, eligible participants should expect to be contacted by myself, and they will then meet with a dedicated genomic nurse who will conduct a consent interview. Once consented, a small blood sample will be collected, allowing our state-of-the-art Human Research Center to perform genetic sequencing here in Bermuda. For those who are intrigued and wish to participate, please register your interest on our website at www.carrygenetics.com/getinthering. It's located here on our flyer. Or you can contact me directly at 621-6302.
I don't understand exactly what all of it means, but it seems like one of the most important things undertaken in Bermuda in my lifetime.
To break it down, oh, sorry, go ahead, Sandra.
No, I was gonna say it's pretty cool. As I was sitting there listening to it, I was like, Bermudians, we have some really cool people coming out of Bermuda, and things are changing. Like before, it was like, oh, we're so small, we can't do or we aren't doing. But to see a study like this that they're going to embark on coming out of Bermuda using, women in Bermuda, this is so cool. It makes me so excited. I mean, I just had dinner the other day with a few girlfriends, and that at our age, that's one of the conversations, breast cancer and who's being screened. Have you had your mammogram? What are you going through? Your family history. These are the conversations that we're having now. And to know that we have this on island, it just gave me goosebumps.
Yeah, honestly, that's what I took from it as well. And I asked Dr. Weldon at the press conference, like, studying and doing what she's doing, like, how long does it take to do like one test? She says that back in the day, it would take years to complete one final study of one person. While we are here today in 2023, where it could take just 3 days, up to 3 days to complete one study for one person. It's obviously science has expanded so far. So obviously they're looking for 50 persons with breast cancer, 50 without it, all must having Caribbean descent. Typically, yes, breast cancer affects Black women, the majority, but their study also just says that what they need to be is just of Caribbean descent. Your grandparents must be of Caribbean descent as well. So it doesn't matter if you're just Black, you don't have to be just Black. If you live in Bermuda, Caribbean descent, and your grandparents are of that Caribbean descent, then yes, you could take part in this study as well, and you can register. A lot of it has to do with basically finding out if there is something specific in the gene of Caribbean people that causes breast cancer at a higher rate. Like, why is it? That's what they're looking for. They're looking for the why, and then they would address that why when it comes up. So that is the main purpose of the goal, to find the why, and if there is something there.
I'm glad you clarified the time frame, because when I was listening to that press conference just now, I was thinking in my mind, I'm like, this takes 10 years. So that was one of the questions that I had. I'm happy you clarified that.
Yeah, I had the question too, because I was like, how long is this going to take to complete, the study? Obviously, it's going to take much longer, to go through the process of everyone and all of that, but to simply do one of the genome testings, though, one person, roughly 3 days, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, if you want to register, it was there. You go to carrygenetics.com/getinthering. Coming up next in the news break, over 70 applicants. There were over 70 applicants for the Bermuda Football Association, and they announced the appointment of Michael Finley as the new senior men's national team head coach. Here's an image of the gentleman there. They mentioned that he hails from Canada and United Kingdom, his origins, and he has carved an impressive path in the world of football, marked by his dedication to elevating the sports standard and nurturing emerging talent. He has extensive coaching journey, including significant milestones like in Grenada men's national team program. He was the head coach and manager of football development. He had a FIFA technical consultant. So he was a FIFA technical consultant. And also in the Canadian Premier League, he was a director of football development. Finney played an integral role in the Canadian Premier League's mission to enhance domestic football talent. And lastly, Canadian Soccer Association. He served as head coach and assistant coach and under-23 head coach and youth team head coach. He was the assistant coach during the FIFA World Cup qualifying campaign as well. The Bermuda Football Association firmly believes that Michael Finley's appointment marks a new era for the team, defined by innovation, strategic brilliance, and a dedication to nurturing emerging soccer talent.
I was one who probably said that after Carl Light won it, I think it's probably time to go outside Bermuda and find someone. I reserve judgment, but I think in the process, I think Bermuda has had a long-standing problem with what they call it. When you bring a Bermudian along, you know what I mean. What they call it, not grooming, favoritism?
Favoritism or family?
No, when you have someone that is, you appoint a non-Bermudian, and the goal is to have a Bermudian in that space within a couple years. I forget what the term's called, folks. Help me out.
I know what you mean.
Process. Planning, I'm called succession planning. Thank you, me. My hope is that yes. Why couldn't I get it? Succession. Yeah, I yes. Thank you, Rosin Famous. My hope is that we are grooming some good coaches amongst us, and maybe he'll appoint a few as assistants. Whereas once his tenure is done, you'll be able to usher someone in who is the right person to lead Bermuda forward.
Any thoughts from you, Sandra? Because I know Maddox does a lot of football.
Funny. When you were reading the story, I just thought I was gonna come back and say, Jamal, what's your opinion? Because I remember us having this conversation and Jamal saying, I feel like they're gonna get someone overseas. I remember
it was time for sure.
Yeah. So I was gonna ask Jamal's opinion. I don't have an opinion. I have so many opinions on the area where he's at now. I haven't thought that far. So
got you. Okay, one of my final stories coming up right now. After 40 years of dedicated service, the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Public Works, Randy Rochester, retires from the Public Works. Here's a gentleman here on the screen. Mr. Rochester worked his way up through the ranks of government, having served in such areas as the Transport Control Department as director, the Ministry of Home Affairs as permanent secretary, and most recently as the permanent secretary for the Ministry of Public Works, which is considered one of the most active ministries in the government, according to the government. Now, Mr. Rochester says, quote, when I started in the government back in June of 1985, there was a sense of pride when we took in working for the government. However, over the years, it seems that the younger generation have a different outlook on working long-term at one job generally and move about more frequently. I am not opposed to that, as I'm sure I would do the same if I were coming up along today. The challenge for the government is retaining talent, as we simply cannot compete with the private sector with the short-term benefits private companies may offer, end quote. Finally, it's been noted by many of Mr. Rochester's colleagues that he has a reputation for being dedicated, fair, patient, professional, and supportive. He closes by saying, quote, now that it is known that I am retiring from the government, the question is asked often about who will lead the ministry and will all be well. My response is simple. Leaders make leaders. Everywhere I go, I try to prepare my team at all levels to advance themselves. If I didn't prepare someone to take over from me, that means I failed my job. So I believe the government, and more specifically the Ministry of Public Works, will be just fine, as there is such talent at the front-facing employees as well as the public service executive teams of the public service.
I just want to say congratulations to Mr. Rochester. I remember I was taking my writing test, and he was very stern. I've had meetings with him over the years, and first met him as a child when he was going to church, probably still at Open Door Christian Assembly. A gentleman, a genuinely good person that I've ever encountered. So congratulations, and I'd say all the best in the new space that he will be leaving to occupy.
Mm-hmm. And closing out just with a little bit of sports, following the rain delay, Bermuda defeated Argentina by 9 wickets in the ICC Under-19 Men's Cricket World Cup Americas qualifiers at the Maple Leaf Cricket Club in Canada. Argentina batted first and was bowled out by 53. In reply, Bermuda scored 54-1. Jamal Proctor was the top scorer with 37 off 25 balls. He hit 6 fours.
Wow. And just want to add, commissions to the under 15 football team?
In the CONCACAF, yes.
They lost on penalties, I think?
Yes, 5-4, I believe, to... Oh, the name's escaping me. But yes, they lost off of penalties.
I will say, honestly, I hate to lose on penalties, but I don't mind winning on them, boy. But hard way to go out. It's a tough way to go out. But props to them. They looked like they had fun. They learned. And Coach Rashawn Blanchett took a good group of players down there. My hope is that they learn from the experience, hold their heads high. They have a great moment of sportsmanship down there. And sometimes it's really not about the wins and losses, but about the lessons and experience from the opportunity. So big props to them, sending them love and good energy as they return to Bermuda.
Yeah, definitely 100%. And I guess lastly in my news is the weather for you guys today. So we're looking at sunny periods, again with 1 or 2 showers though, and a mix of sun and cloudy by noon. So sorry about that. We're got a high of 89 degrees Fahrenheit though. So it's going to be very hot outside. Humidity is probably going to be super crazy. 89's pretty high for us. I think it's the highest I've reported here on the show. Normally it's like 84s, 86s, 89. That's the time.
All right. Maya, thank you so much for that. We're going to take our final break, and we'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
All right, folks, don't go anywhere. We're going to take a quick break, come back, wrap it up, and bring you the Daily Play.
Ordering from ER Fisheries has just gotten simpler. With just a few clicks of a button, you can place an order for next-day delivery or same-day pickup. Our ever-expanding list of offerings now include grocery pantry items, specialty meats, and bread and dairy items. We know things have been hard, and we're here to make planning for your next meal or party easy. Whether you're a vegetarian or a meat eater, we have what you're looking for. And best of all, it can be delivered to your door in 24 hours or less. Go to www.erfisheries.bm and check out our wide range of seafood, beef, lamb, pork, poultry, fruits, vegetables, and plant-based products, all available at reasonable prices. That's www.erfisheries.bm.
All righty. Well, welcome back. Sancha Dorm, I'm Jamel Hartman. Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Linda's, and People's Pharmacy. Folks, if you appreciated today's conversation, discussion, news break, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share the information, the conversation with you. We do appreciate Wayne Keynes and Shelly Lehman of Belco jumping on and providing context and clarity to the conversation. So again, thanks again to the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Linda's, and People's Pharmacy for allowing us the opportunity to engage and present this space live where we can actually do such. If you haven't already, please subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. It is time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. Sancha, are you ready?
Let's have it.
All right, here we go. It's a Who Said It. Quote, "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced." Name begins with a J, first name, last name begins with a B. All righty. It's a Who Said It, folks. The quote is, "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced," end quote. And that is from the late, great James Baldwin.
I thought JP. JB.
JB. James Baldwin. All right, Sancha, let's wrap it up. Final thoughts on today's conversation and impromptu guests.
It's great. I love that people could just say, hey, want to jump on, and we're in a space where we're able to do this. I am looking forward to having a more in-depth conversation where you and I can prepare, and we can have those questions that the audience are asking and make sure that they're answered so we have a better understanding all around. I think that would be awesome. Maya's news break today. So many things going on. Condolences to, I knew her as Miss Gabizi. Just a trailblazer she was. And sports. We're doing big things in sports, right? I'm looking forward to things to come.
Must be all St. George's players, future St. George's players in that team, by the way.
Please don't.
Yeah. I want to say, look, we have some challenges with our utility system, and I think most of us want to see them solved. So grateful for the folks at Belco stepping up and joining the conversation to provide clarity to what's going on. And my hope is that this doesn't happen as much going forward. On that note, I'll give you, the ER Fisheries quote of the day, daily inspiration. I'm just going to leave you with the James Baldwin one. Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it's faced. That will be your ER Fisheries daily inspiration. Folks, said to do this to you already. But don't forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. She was Central Durham. I'm Jamel Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are out. Peace.